I have been putting in the hours. I have been putting in the hours. I decided in 2024 that I was going to get in a relationship with money. And here I am entering into my 30s, ready to go. I'm working on the psychotherapy doctorate and EMS and XYZ, right? Money is a big thing, whether you're in your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, your 60s, whether you're single or you're married or you're just casually dating, whatever it be. But this would not be the Who Am I podcast if we didn't talk about money. It is such a critical tool for our foundation. And a lot of people base their self worth and their self concept on their bank account, which definitely going to get into so much of this and more. But just for anyone tuning in that has never actually listened to an episode on the Who Am I podcast, my name is Air. I am here in Miami. I love to travel. I love my relationship. I love all things psychology. I own a yoga studio here in Coral Gables. I do relationship coaching. I do one-to-ones on just mental health, XYZ. I'm your girl. And today I'm feeling a little bit sassy and a little bit blunt, but that's money. I and this is where we get a little bit woo-woo for just a second. I promise we're going to come right back. But I feel like money is very masculine energy. Money is about power. Money is about building. Money is about conquering and providing and protection and just so much more of that masculine tendencies. And that's why we have so much of these limiting beliefs and stereotypes around money that, men are going to be the sole breadwinners of the house. And it's weird if a woman is. And the stereotype of, you know, um, money is evil. Ugh, I just don't even like saying that anymore now I'm in a relationship with money. And you really have to figure out what is your money story, because your money story is driving not only your income, but also your relationships. Most of the time when I'm doing one-to-one coaching with my clients, I notice that money gets brought up more than their dreams. Money gets brought up all the time. I ask a couple, how's your love life? And they're like, we fight about money all the time. Or I ask a man, how's your dating going? And he goes, I'm spending so much money on these dates and they're not going anywhere. Or I ask a girl, how's your dating life going? And they're like, I spend so much on my hair and my nails and dresses to look beautiful. And it's just a waste because these guys are XYZ, right? And I'm like, money is so connected and we're all using it. I've traveled all over the world and I see how currency works in different countries and how people value money in different ways and treat it. And whether you're scared of money, like you're actually scared to look on your phone at your bank account, like there's so many people out that are really just afraid to even look at their bank account or afraid to open up a bill because they just don't know how it's going to get paid. And this definitely, definitely impacts our self-esteem, our self-confidence, whole nine yards. But here's one of the things that I really want to address today about affording something. Now, you probably have had this thought before that you can't afford a relationship coach, or you can't afford a therapist, or you can't afford to work with a professional because you don't have the money for it. And it's such a popular excuse, but it is literally the worst excuse you can bring to the table. And here we go. I just said so many things that cost you way more than a session with a coach or a session with a therapist. Like, have you ever been heartbroken? I know I have, and it impacts my entire life. It impacts my motivation, it impacts my self-esteem. I don't want to get out of the bed. I'm crying. Like, it definitely affects how I show up for my people, my other people in my relationships, and I guess my partner because it's a breakup, but nonetheless, it impacts my entire life. Of course, you can't afford that. You can't afford to lose money at work or, not be able to get out of bed in the morning. I would much rather pay for like a $45 session, a $90 session, even a $150 session if it's going to save me all of this heartbreak. It's going to get me healed faster. It's going to get me motivated and become me again, a better version of me. Yeah, you can't afford that. You can't afford to be in that mindset. Okay, think about your marriage. For anyone out there that's married, like how often do you fight about money? How often do couples break up because of money? I just helped a couple get back together literally yesterday, and it had nothing to do about how they felt about each other. Like, they love each other so much, but they were so afraid to talk about money. It was mind-boggling when I sat down with both of them, because individually they came to me and they're like, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to be with them. And I'm like, this doesn't, something's missing. Let's all sit down together and figure this out in a session. And over the course of the hour, they revealed to each other they're just afraid to talk to each other about finances. And a huge thing for them was cleaning the house. Like, the woman also works. So in this case, they're both working their jobs. They're both tired, and they come home and they see that the house is a mess. And one of them felt like the other one was doing less work than them, less contribution. And they would fight about it over and over and over for years. They told me they fought about this to the point where they were like, we don't want to be together anymore. I can't do this, X, Y, Z. Quick little fixes, looking at their bank account, talking about it in a very safe environment together with a professional that can kind of guide the conversation and let everybody be seen and heard. We did 3 fixes. They walked out so happy together, by the way, and like ready to go. And it was just a single session. That's how powerful money can be in our lives. So being afraid of it, being afraid to talk about it, of course you can't afford it. That couple would have lost literally the best relationship because they were afraid to talk about money, and they were afraid to actually think about what it was going to cost them to sit down with a professional. Now, we can keep going. I have some great friends in my life, and I have a great partner in my life. I see how much these men spend on dates. Like, I commend them because they're putting down at minimum $75 for a date. And I've honestly been on dates where they've spent $1,000. And again, I'm just like, okay, I respect money. Like, that's part of my relationship with money. And I'm definitely going there next. But you can see that's an investment. And if you're investing that type of money into a woman and she's not going to be someone that you want to have a career family with, and what I mean by that is like a family or a couple that comes together and builds an empire together, then if you're spreading that around looking for her, you might end up spending like literally $10,000 plus in dating this year. And not even in the right investment, like not even like necessarily being guaranteed the right girl. Of course you can't afford that. Wouldn't you want to like actually figure it out with a professional and invest that money and find that girl faster? That way, if you're going to spend $10,000, I'm not going to tell you how to spend your money. Like, at the end of the day, it's your money story. It's your rich life. But I will say that, okay, maybe you should invest that in a girl that you would want to see long term and to build an empire with, one that's actually supporting your life in so many beautiful ways. Like, you can't afford not to. Just throwing that out there. And ladies, again, let's just go back to the heartbreak. Remember the last time you were heartbroken? Was it a week? No. Was it 2 weeks? No. Most heartbreaks, like real heartbreaks, last like 3 months to maybe even like 2 years. You can't afford that. Your mental health cannot afford that. You are missing out on so many beautiful opportunities, not even necessarily just in your love life by finding the right man, but also business opportunities, entrepreneurship, traveling with your girlfriends, just because you're so heartbroken. And I'm not even like, I did this on one podcast. If you want to go back, I did a full layout of how much it costs to be maintaining beauty on a monthly basis. It's like $1,300 here in Miami to do the nails and the makeup and the fitness and XYZ. Like, you cannot afford to be wasting these resources on men that ghost you or cheat you or lie to you or not even putting the effort that you're putting in. Like, what? Like, no, of course you can't afford it. You can't afford any of this. I am just being brutally honest. If you say that you can't afford a relationship coach or you can't afford therapy, it's not because of your bank account. It's because you have a poor mindset. And that mindset is the reason that you look at your bank account and you wonder why it's not where you want it to be. And you look at your life and you look at your romantic relationships and you continuously want to cry or scream or just give up and lock the door and avoid relationships at all costs. It is because you are using phrases like, I cannot afford to work with a relationship coach or with a therapist. And I guarantee you, I'm going to send this to all of my fellow, relationship coaches, breakup coaches, therapists, psychotherapists. I'm going to send them to all of them because I know that they get this. And I know that that is something that always comes to the table. It's the poor mindset, not the poor bank account. Guaranteed. Now, I want to share a little bit of some value in here about what I meant when I said 2024, I'm getting in a relationship with money. My personal money story has been so interesting because it's been almost like tumultuous in the sake of I grew up, I would never say, and this is actually what my mom would tell me, not necessarily what I would say. She would go or Ericia or Erica, so many different names here. Oh, that was like a cough laugh. Wow. So she would look at me. Actually, I'll be honest with you. She calls me baby girl. She would say, baby girl, we're not poor, we're broke. And there's a difference. So I didn't grow up with like means. I started working actually as a child and bringing in some income for the family, but it really elevated to where I was making quite a bit through my childhood and my teenage years through the modeling industry and the entertainment industry. So my money story was like broke to making a lot of money to being actually in this horrible circumstance, and it's very wide known. It's probably what I'm most known for my advocacy was my chapter of Model Stop Traffic, aka human trafficking, slavery, whatever you choose to call it. So absolutely no money to, overcoming that situation, turning around and using the money from the book proceeds to actually launch a business. And that first business being super successful for around 8 years. And at 8 years, it was like up and down, like a roller coaster, but I found myself in a relationship that was really unhealthy for me. And the empire that I had built had actually came at a huge cost because the relationship I chose was the incorrect one for me and unhealthy, that my empire crashed down and I lost it all because I wasn't okay. And I was telling myself like, I can do it alone, or I don't want to share this with other people. It's shameful or XYZ. I used those excuses. So I found myself again, quote unquote, broke and traveling because I was trying to run away from my problems, to the point where I finally stood still, looked in the mirror, did some real healing, and rebuilt my relationship with money and rebuilt my relationship with myself. And that did take help. It was not something I could do alone. And I know I am a very capable, super intelligent, wonderful individual that's always studying, always researching the next thing. And this is actually why I decided to go to school for psychotherapy and to study all of the Eastern and Western practices for healing. This, my actual story, and impacting others and helping others through this, pulling them out of the darkness. So my story goes up and down. And then here I am again. Now my money story is great again. And I'm like, whoa, this is so interesting that when you correlate the chapters of your life on how your bank account reflects to your personal life, it's going to match. Whether it's useless spending, spending in the wrong areas, spending to make you feel better, or quote unquote investing in yourself because you're trying to accomplish something, having a lot of money, having no money, putting your money into a business, putting your money into education, putting your money into travel, putting your money into a relationship, like, you're going to see all of the correlations. So if you find yourself not happy about your bank account, odds are you're not happy about your relationships. And if you're finding yourself really struggling in your relationships, you're going to find your bank account also suffering. They are correlated. So, a while back, I decided I'm going to be in a relationship with money. Even before I was going to be in a quote unquote relationship with money, I was like, I'm going to learn about money. And then we got in a relationship. So I started learning about money like crazy. I bought a house, I bought a condo, we started investments. I decided to go again to school for like psychotherapy. I traveled the entire world. I did it all while learning about money. And in 2024, I decided I was still single at the beginning of 2024, even though I was actually on a date with my boyfriend now at New Year's. So kind of funny how I decided to be in a relationship with both my money partner and my romantic partner. Like, I think I said that right. I got in a relationship with money and pretty much my romantic partner at the same time. So nonetheless, that aside, that's just kind of cute. My money story started as far as a relationship. And for me, again, I see money as super masculine. And when I see money as masculine, that means I'm going to respect it. That means I'm allowed to love it. That means if I start treating money like my husband, like, or money like my boyfriend, depending on where you're at in your life, or in a relationship with money, you can say girlfriend even if you want. Again, I affiliate money with very masculine energy. But when I started seeing money as like my boyfriend, then I started treating it different. I wasn't afraid to look at my bank account because I'm not afraid to call my boyfriend, right? He's going to want to hear from me. He's going to want to see me. He's going to talk to me about things, right? I wasn't afraid to, invest in that relationship, invest in money, right? Because I'm like, oh, this is investing in my future and I want to have a great future with my partner, right? I wasn't afraid to go learn and ask questions and attend seminars and events and watch documentaries and learn about the Forex and XYZ, because I would want to learn everything about my relationship with my boyfriend. Think about your boyfriends. You want to know everything about them, right? You want to spend time with them. When I learn about money, I'm spending time. That's quality time for our future, right? So when I started doing that, I also started receiving more, because it's like, we're in a relationship. Money's going to protect me. Money's going to provide for me. Money's going to give me direction and provision. That's masculine energy, healthy to its core. Like, that is so interesting when you start seeing money as your boyfriend, money as your relationship, your partner. And it has dramatically changed my money story. So, all of that aside, you've got to stop saying you can't afford this. You can't afford to invest in a professional helping you. And I'm not going again to tell you what to do with your money, but I will end on this note. Getting in a relationship with money is kind of like getting in a relationship with your partner. And I am super supportive of weekly check-ins with my boyfriend. I'm super supportive of talking and communication. And I'm way in favor of personal therapy as well as premarital therapy, well as marriage counseling. And not to fix the marriage, but to be proactive. Just like your bank account, be proactive. Know where your money's going. Know exactly how much you spend on coffee a month. Like, challenge me. Next time, if you ever see me in person, ask me how much I spent on coffee last month. I know the answer. Ask me how much my electric bill was. Yes, I know the answer because I asked my boyfriend, quote unquote, my money boyfriend, money itself. You're not going to be afraid of it when you look at it that way. You're not going to be afraid to talk about it, engage with it. You'll be able to start rewriting some of these limiting childhood beliefs. And that is done in the chair. That is done with an appointment with me. That is done 100% in the safety and privacy of no one has to know about what's going on, but we're going to fix it. So I'm going to be really, really blunt with you. I expect you to book an appointment after this. If you actually reach out to me on Instagram at Air Kramer, AirKramer, Air Kramer, and you DM me Rich Money, RICHMONEY. If you DM me Rich Money, I will make your first appointment only $45. That is literally 66% off. DM me that to my Instagram, and we will start rewriting your money story and thus fixing your relationships. You're going to instantly feel better. You're going to be okay. So I leave you with that today. You're going to be okay. It's completely fixable. I promise you. Remember how I said earlier, I was in slavery and still rebuilt an empire twice. You're gonna be okay. If you're in debt, you're gonna be okay. If you don't know where the next paycheck is coming from, you're gonna be okay. But do not fool yourself. You cannot afford it. You cannot afford to not change your mindsets and get back on the right track. And you can't do it alone. So with all of that, I'll see you on Instagram. I'll see you in the show notes. I'm ready to do this. Let's go. Thank you, as always, for healing and growing with me today.